I grew up on a housing estate in South London. At the time, my dad was around, and I was heavily influenced by music because he had a big, whacking, great sound system. And used to play reggae music predominantly, and I used to love it. After a few years, when I was about 8 years old, my dad left, and my mum, doing her best trying to raise us, sent us to church. Stopped going to church after about a year, and got into BMXing and body popping, break dancing, got into girls, and then basically I stopped going to church and kind of stopped thinking about God. When I was about 20, I met this girl, and previously to meeting her, she'd been involved in drugs and kind of drinking and like living really promiscuously. And someone had spoken to her about Jesus. And she was like, nah, man, not really interested in Jesus. And God, Jesus is not going to be interested in me because I'm I'm saying, the kind of the things that I do. Then after about 2 or 3 years, a friend of hers became a Christian. And this friend invited her to church. And so she was like, sure, I've tried different things and nothing's worked. She tried it. And she went to church. She came back with a Bible. We were living together at the time. She began to really change. Stopped drinking, stopped smoking. And one day she just said to me, you know what, Robert? No more sex. I was like, I thought, you know what? She must be in some kind of a cult. She says to me, look, why don't you come to church? And I thought, yeah, I'm going to come to church. And I went along, and I took a friend of mine along with me, kind of like for moral support. When I got there, it was not what I expected. Kind of halfway through the message, I was really stunned because what the preacher was saying really made sense. And for the first time in my life, I really begun to really understand the good news about Jesus. Now, initially, it wasn't good news. It was bad news because he made me aware that I was a sinner. Now, I knew that because of some of the things that I'd done in the past, but I didn't realize that there was a penalty for sin, and that the penalty was eternal separation from God in hell. I didn't know what to do, and then the preacher went on to talk about the fact that that's bad news, but he says there's good news. And he went on to say that even though God was going to punish sinners because of their sinful lifestyles, God at the same time wanted to forgive. And he quoted a verse from Romans chapter 5, verse 8, which says that God has demonstrated his love for us, even though while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. But the condition was that I would change the way that I think about my sinful behavior and accept him as my savior. And I thought, but wait a minute, this is a deal that's too good to be true. I was like, yeah, definitely. But at this point, I was just thinking about it. While I was thinking about it, my girlfriend and my friend both responded. And I was like, whoa, they've responded. I thought, I need to respond because I'm not trying to go to hell on my own. And I prayed a really simple prayer. And I was like, oh, God, if you'd please forgive me, I'd gladly accept your forgiveness based on Jesus dying for me. And within a month, I got baptized. Since becoming a Christian, my life has changed dramatically. I mean, my sinful behavior prior to becoming a Christian, that's changed. You know what I mean? I still fall short and I still make mistakes. But because of God's goodness and the fact that he's forgiven me, I don't desire to live the way that I lived anymore. And it's just been a phenomenal adventure.